In this video, I'm going to go through a couple of examples from the 7.3b lesson, volume of a cone. Previously, we had shown why the volume formula for a cone was volume equals 1/3 pi r squared h. And we had described kind of all the parts of the formula, where they came from. We're going to look at two examples, and I'm going to let you finish the lesson from there. First one we're going to do is number 4. We're going to write our answers in terms of pi and also as a rounded decimal to the nearest tenth. So our formula that we're going to be using is 1/3 pi r squared h. So in this one, they give us the radius, they give us our height, and we're just going to plug this into a calculator and get our exact answer. When we type this in, we're going to type everything but pi. And in order to type 1/3, I'm just going to do 1 divided by 3. So 1 divided by 3 times 5 squared times 8 is 66 2/3. I'm going to write this as a fraction, so there should be the ability to write it as an improper fraction. My calculator should be able to do that. So mine is under the math menu, and I click fraction, and it converts it. You could write it as a mixed number, but I just prefer the improper fraction. So 66 2/3 is the same as 200/3. So my exact answer is 200 pi over 3 feet cubed. You could also put the pi to the side. It either needs to be in the numerator or to the side, sort of like a variable, but not in the denominator. And then we're going to round it. So we'll type in times pi, and we'll round to the nearest tenth, so 209.4. So the volume is approximately 209.4 cubic feet. So that one should be pretty simple. A lot of these other ones are fairly simple. You have a composite solid here made up of a cylinder and a cone. But let's go down to 8 and look at one of the ones where you have to work backwards. It gives us the volume and the height, and we're going to look for the diameter, which means we need to find the radius first. So the formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. We'll plug in the info that they gave us. Next, everything that's happening on the right side of the equation is multiplication. Even the exponent is just r times r. So I know that really everything I'm going to be doing is going to deal with the multiplicative inverse or reciprocals. And so, for example, the 1/3, to get rid of that and isolate r squared, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 3 or 3 over 1. And so those will cancel. Next, and I built this big fraction because I'm going to have several parts to it. Maybe it was slightly larger than needed, but to get rid of the pi, the reciprocal of pi is 1 over pi, so that I could just merge into the same fraction, or I could have it be a separate fraction. And then the 4.5, the reciprocal of that would be 1 over 4.5, which means that would be in the denominator of the same fraction. And then those would cancel, and the pi's canceled. So I'm left with, and you could break this down into 3 separate steps if you'd like. I did it all at once because it's kind of all the same process. So I'm left with r squared equals, you can put the 122.8 over 1 if you'd like, which means I'm going to multiply the numerators. And I'm not actually going to multiply these. I'm going to let my calculator do that in a minute. And the denominators. I'm just going to put pi second here. And I'm going to then use my inverse operation of square rooting both sides. I normally need to consider plus or minus when I do that, but in this case I can't have a negative radius. And I'm going to approximate now and type this in my calculator to figure out what the radius is. So I have 3 times 122.8 divided by, remember you need to put parentheses around the 4.5 pi, or another way to do this would be divided by 4.5 divided by pi. If you're not getting that calculator feature to work, or the parentheses feature to work well in your calculator. And then I still need to square root this, which means I can already tell this is going to come out close to 5. So 5.1 to the nearest tenth. And that is inches, which means the diameter is 10.2 inches when I double that.